I plunged the carving knife into the turkey's breast. But it was my brother's throat I pictured splitting open. Blood, gravy-thick and steaming, splattered across the lace tablecloth Mom had ironed that morning, right before she collapsed in the kitchen from the poison I'd laced into her pie crust. The room froze in that split-second horror, forks hovering midair, Aunt Karen's mouth agape like a gutted fish. But it was Jake's eyes, wide, betrayed, accusing, that made me smile for the first time in years. "That's for the $47,500 you stole from her grave," I whispered, as the first sirens wailed in the distance. Too late to save any of us from the hell we'd built. The scent of overcooked green beans and regret hung heavy in the air of our childhood home in rural Ohio. That godforsaken stretch of cornfields and crumbling barns where dreams go to rot like forgotten silos. It was Thanksgiving, 2025, and the Cooper family reunion was in full, dysfunctional swing, 30-odd relatives crammed into a dining room that hadn't seen this much tension since Dad's funeral 5 years back. I sat at the head of the table, the seat Mom always reserved for me, her golden boy, even as her health faded and the pills piled up. Jake, my younger brother by 3 years, slouched across from me, nursing a Bud Light like it was holy water, his lawyerly suit rumpled from the drive up from Cincinnati. He was the success story, corner office at a firm downtown, trophy wife named Brittany with extensions that screamed, midlife crisis enabler, and a smug grin that said he'd never once shoveled pig shit to pay for college. Mom was late. She'd been in the guest room all afternoon, claiming a migraine, but we all knew it was the cancer gnawing deeper, the one she'd hidden from everyone but me. I'd been the one holding her hand through the chemo sessions in secret, forging her signature on the mortgage papers when the bank came calling, whispering lies to the hospice nurse about how she was fighting like a champ. Jake? He'd sent checks, fat ones. Sure, but they came with Hallmark cards that reeked of detachment, like he was buying absolution from a distance. The doorbell rang, and Aunt Karen bustled in with her annual Jell-O mold, the kind that jiggles like it's got a guilty conscience. "Where's Evelyn?" she chirped, oblivious as ever, her perm bouncing like a bad perm from the 80s. Uncle Ray grunted from his lazy boy in the living room, remote in hand, tuned to some football pregame where millionaires pretended to care about turf wars. The kids, my niece Sophie, 8 and freckled, and Jake's boy, little Tyler with his gap-toothed smile, chased each other around the turkey, which I'd carved with mechanical precision, each slice a reminder of the blade I'd sharpened last night in the shed. Then Jake cleared his throat, that theatrical rumble he used in courtrooms to intimidate witnesses. "Before we dig in," he said, voice slicing through the chatter like a gavel, "there's something we need to address. Family business." Eyes turned to him, curious, then wary. I kept slicing, the knife whispering against the bone. He leaned forward, elbows on the tablecloth embroidered with pilgrims that now looked like executioners. "Mom's estate. The will. It's all settled now that the lawyers are done." A murmur rippled, cousins nodding, assuming the usual squabble over the farmhouse. But Jake's gaze locked on mine, cold as Lake Erie's winter crust. "And Jack, big brother here, owes her $47,500. Straight from her savings. He borrowed it last year for that failed garage he was going to start. Promised to pay it back. Didn't." The room inhaled sharply. Forks clattered. Sophie's eyes went wide, her turkey leg forgotten. I felt the heat rise in my neck, not shame, but the slow boil of a kettle about to scream. Borrowed? That word was a lie wrapped in legalese. polished by Jake's firm. It wasn't a loan, it was blood money. Every cent I'd funneled into Mom's treatments when insurance failed and Jake's generous checks dried up after his bonus quarter. "You son of a bitch," I muttered, low enough that only he heard. But Aunt Karen's gasp suggested otherwise. She clutched her pearls, the ones Dad gave her after the mill closed, and he turned to the bottle. "Jack, is this true? Evelyn trusted you with everything." Jake pressed on, that predatory gleam in his eye, the same one he'd flashed when we were kids and he'd steal my comic books, then cry to Mom about how I'd bullied him. The executor's report is public now. Checks cleared from her account to Jack's. No repayment. Brittany, and I thought it was time to bring it up here. At the table, like family does. Return Mom's $47,500.
Jack.
Or we'll have to. Escalate. Escalate. There it was. The threat veiled as concern. The way he'd always done it. From the day he framed me for shoplifting Dad's tools at 14, tools he'd pawned for weed money, to the night he crashed Mom's Buick into a ditch during prom season and convinced her it was my joyride. I'd taken the blame every time. Because that's what big brothers do in families like ours. Swallow the shards so the little prince can shine. I set the knife down. Deliberate. The clink echoing like a chambered round. The table fell silent. Even the football announcer's roar muted from the TV. Mom's chair sat empty at the far end, her place setting pristine, linen napkin folded like a shroud, wine glass stem up like a guillotine. Escalate how? Jake? For clothes on the house she died in? Sue the brother who wiped her ass when you were too busy closing deals? Brittany tittered nervously, her nails drumming the stem of her Chardonnay. Jack. Honey. It's not personal.
Just.
Justice. Justice. The word tasted like ash. Sophie started to cry, and Tyler buried his face in his dad's lap, sensing the fracture lines spiderwebbing across the holiday facade. Uncle Ray lumbered in then, plate heaped high, oblivious or pretending to be. What's this now? Money talk at Thanksgiving? Pass the cranberry. For Christ's sake. But Jake wasn't done. He slid a folder across the table, manila. Crisp. Stamped with his firm's logo, like it was Exhibit A in a murder trial. Inside, bank statements, highlighted in yellow. My name in bold. Forged?
No.
Real enough. I'd sign them. All right. But under duress. When Jake whispered in my ear at her bedside that he'd handle the rest if I just covered the transfer. The secret we'd buried deeper than Dad's casket. I flipped it open, scanning the numbers that blurred through the red haze. $47,500. The exact cost of her experimental trial in Cleveland, the one the docs said might buy time. Time Jake had stolen by delaying his half of the funding, citing market dips. My hands trembled, not fear, but the seismic shift of a fault line cracking after decades of pressure. Jack. Aunt Karen's voice. Small.
Pleading.
The room pressed in. Walls papered with faded photos of us as boys, me hoisting Jake on my shoulders at the county fair. Mom beaming. Dad's ghost in the background with a beer.
Lies.
All of it. I closed the folder. Pushed it back. Stood slowly. Chair scraping like nails on a chalkboard. You want the truth.
Jake? Fine.
But not here. Not with the kids. My voice was steady. A loaded .38 in a holster. He smirked, leaning back, victorious. That's when I heard the faint groan from the kitchen.
Mom.
Or what was left of her. I checked on her an hour ago, helped her to the couch with a blanket, slipped the vial into her tea when no one was looking. Oleander extract, odorless, from the garden she'd tended like a lover. It was supposed to be peaceful, a gift after years of pain. But Jake's timing, his goddamn ambush, had turned mercy into massacre. "Excuse me," I said, casual as pie, and walked out. The family murmured, confused, as I pushed through the swinging door. There she was, slumped against the counter, skin gray as November sky, lips tinged blue. Her eyes fluttered open, just once, locking on mine. "Jack. The money. For you boys." I knelt, cradling her head, the tile cold under my knees. "It's okay,
Mom.
I fixed it." Her breath rattled, then stilled. The oven timer dinged for my pie, cooling on the rack, its lattice crust hiding the final dose. Back in the dining room, I reappeared, face composed, wiping my hands on a dish towel like I'd just washed up. "Mom says grace is on you this year."
Jake.
"Make it good." He blinked, off balance, but plunged in with some bullshit about gratitude and provision. The words washed over me like rain on a tin roof, meaningless. As he wrapped up with "Amen," I raised my glass. To family. And to returning what's owed. The clink was thunder.
Then.
Casual as carving fowl, I said,
"Oh."
"And Jake, that $47,500? It wasn't a loan. It was restitution. For the hidden run you covered up in 18. The one where you plowed into that kid on his bike and left me to take the manslaughter rap." Gasps erupted like fireworks. Jake's face drained of color, his fork slipping to the floor. Brittany choked on her wine. Uncle Ray's jaw unhinged. Sophie whispered, "Uncle Jack killed someone?" "Not me," I said softly, eyes never leaving Jake's.
Him.
"I did the time, 2 years in county, lost my CDL, everything. All so he could graduate law school without a record. Mom knew. Begged me to. Said blood was thicker." The room exploded. Accusations flew, Karen shrieking about Satan at the table, Ray bellowing for the sheriff. Jake lunged across, fists balled, but I sidestepped, grabbing the folder. Tore it in half, confetti of lies raining down. "You want escalation? Try this." I recorded every call, every threat. Your firm's emails begging for the quiet settlement. It's all on a drive in my truck. Uploads to the cloud in 30 minutes if I don't tech stop. He froze, calculating, the lawyer brain whirring. "You wouldn't."
Blackmail?
"That's a felony."
Jack.
"You'd tank yourself." "Already tanked," I shot back.
By you.
Every time. Sirens? No. Not yet. But the fracture was set. That night, as the ambulance hauled Mom away, official story, heart attack from stress, I watched Jake from the porch. His Porsche idling in the drive. Brittany loading kids like cargo. He met my gaze through the windshield, and for a flicker, I saw the boy he'd been, scared, small, looking to me for rescue. But brothers grow up. Or they don't. And revenge? It's a slow roast. Best served cold with all the trimmings. The days blurred after that Thanksgiving like cheap whiskey in a mason jar, sharp at first, then a hazy ache that settled in your bones. Mom's funeral was a circus of condolences and casseroles. The Lutheran church in town packed with folks who'd whispered about us Coopers for generations. Poor Evelyn, they'd say, fanning themselves with programs. Gone too soon. Too soon? She clawed for every breath those last months. Chemo tubes snaking like accusations, while Jake wired excuses from his high-rise. I stood at the graveside in my one good suit, the black wool itching like guilt, nodding as Pastor Wilkins droned about eternal rest.
Rest.
If only. Jake didn't show. Sent flowers, roses, blood red, with a card, deepest sympathies. Legal matters tie me up. Legal matters. Yeah. Like scrubbing his name from the hit-and-run file I'd anonymously leaked to the prosecutor's office that Monday morning. Not the full truth, just enough breadcrumbs, a blurry dashcam still from the gas station. Time-stamped 2:17 a.m. On that rain-slicked July night in 2018, showing a Buick LeSabre with Ohio plates peeling out. Plates registered to Mom.
To me?
After the accident. The kid's name was Ethan Harlow, 17, paperboy from the suburbs. Helmet cracked like an eggshell when they found him in the ditch. Dead on arrival. I'd confessed, said I'd swerved for a deer.
Panicked. Fled.
Jake was in the passenger seat, drunk off cheap tequila from party. His prom date waiting back at the hotel. You drive. Bro, he'd slurred, tossing me the keys. You're the responsible one. Responsible? That's what got me 18 months in the Lucas County Jail. License revoked. Job at the mill gone. That's what made Mom sell her heirloom brooch to pay the lawyer, Jake's future mentor, who buried the evidence for a favor down the line. I didn't blame her.
Not then.
She sobbed in the courtroom, clutching my hand, whispering, "Protect him.
Jack.
He's got dreams. Dreams." Jake's dream was Yale Law on scholarship. Then the firm, the house in Hyde Park with the white picket fence that hid the rot. My dream?
Survive.
Shovel driveways, fix tractors, watch the fields turn gold while resentment fermented like moonshine in the barn. At the burial, as they lowered the pine box into the frosted earth, I felt eyes on me, cousins murmuring, Aunt Karen dabbing tears with a tissue that said, sympathy in cursive. Sophie clung to my leg, her small hand sticky from hard candy. "Where's Daddy?" she asked, voice piping over the minister's prayer. I knelt, smoothed her hair. Busy saving the world.
Kiddo.
One lawsuit at a time. That night, alone in the farmhouse, the silence roared. I poured bourbon from Dad's dusty bottle, sat at the kitchen table scarred from decades of suppers and secrets. The $47,500 folder lay open, Jake's highlights mocking me. Restitution. I called it a dinner.
Truth was,
it was hush money for the treatments, the ones he'd promised to split 50-50, then ghosted when the market tanked. I'd drain Mom's nest egg, max my cards, even pawned Dad's watch. The one engraved to Ray, Love Ev. All while Jake posted LinkedIn updates, grateful for family support during tough times. Blessed. My phone buzzed. Brittany. Jack. We need to talk. Jake's spiraling. Come to Cincy tomorrow. Spiraling. The golden boy. Undone by a brother's whisper. I typed back. Sure. Neutral ground. The over-the-Rhine diner. Noon. Sleep came in fits. Dreams of tires screeching. Ethan's face, boyish. Braces glinting in headlights, flashing like a ghost in the corn. Woke sweating. The clock glowing 3:47 a.m. Same as the hour I'd signed the plea deal. Jake's hand on my shoulder. You're a hero.
Man.
I'll make it right. Morning broke gray. The kind of Ohio winter that seeps into your soul. I loaded the truck, old Ford F-150 with rust like open wounds, tossed in the evidence box. Tapes.
Printouts.
The vile label from the oleander, planted it in the compost, but ghosts linger. Drove south on I-71, past billboards for megachurches promising salvation. Truck stops hawking freedom in styrofoam cups. Cincy sprawled like a concrete fever dream, skyscrapers stabbing the clouds. The Ohio River sluggish and brown, carrying barges of forgotten cargo. The diner was a relic, chrome stools,
Pie under glass.
waitresses calling you hon with accents thick as grits. Brittany waited in a booth, her blonde waves pinned back. No makeup. Looking every bit the worried Stepford. Jack, she said, sliding a coffee my way, black. No sugar. Just how I like it. How she knew. I didn't ask. He's not himself. The leak, it's everywhere. Firms auditing him. Reporters sniffing around the old case. Good, I said, sipping the bitter brew. It burned going down, matching the fire in my gut. Let M sniff. Ethan Harlow's family deserves that much. She flinched, nails digging into her napkin.
You don't get it. Jake.
He was wrecked that night. Blaming himself. You took the fall to protect us all, Mom. The family name. Now you're unraveling it for spite. Spite. The word landed like a slap. Spite? Try survival.
Brit.
He framed me again with that money stunt. Used Mom's death as leverage. While she was still breathing, her eyes welled. But they were sharp. Assessing. Brittany wasn't just arm candy. She'd clerked for Jake's boss. Knew the game. He didn't frame you. The checks were real. You signed them. And the poison, God. Jack. The autopsy's pending. If they find traces. I leaned in, voice low. They won't. But if they do, point the flask at the man who spiked her pain meds to ease the suffering. Ring any bells. She paled, glancing at the door. No, Jake. He didn't wait. What? You're lying. Am I? I pulled a photo from the box. Mom's pill bottle. Half empty. Residue tested by a buddy at the lab. Fentanyl-laced. Double dose. Jake's script. From his concerned visits. He was helping. Accelerating the end. For the inheritance. Cleaner than waiting for hospice. Brittany's hand flew to her mouth. But no scream came. Calculation flickered. Wife. Mother. Survivor. What do you want? Jack.
Money?
The house. Justice. I echoed her from Thanksgiving. Twisting the knife. Ethan's.
Mom's. Mine.
Tell Jake. Confess. Or the drive goes live. Full dump. Emails. Voicemails. The dash cam I pulled from the cloud last week. She nodded, trembling, and slid from the booth. You're a monster. Family doesn't do this. Family does worse. I called after her. Ask your husband. Drove back north that afternoon. Radio crackling with static and ads for personal injury lawyers. Irony's cruel joke. The farmhouse loomed. Lights off. A tomb. Inside. I booted the laptop. Watched the upload timer. 28% to a dead man's Switch server. One text from me. And it all spilled. Jake's empire crumbling like dry corn husks. But doubt wormed in.
Sophie.
Tyler. The kids didn't deserve the fallout. The whispers at school. The "your daddy's a killer" taunts. Was this revenge or ruin? Poured another bourbon. Stared at the family portrait over the mantel. Us four. Smiling in '05. Before the mill closed. Before Dad's liver gave out. Before Jake learned that power corrupts quickest in the pure. Phone rang, unknown number. Jake's voice. Ragged. No polish. "You win.
Bro.
Meet me at the old quarry. Midnight. Come alone. The quarry, our boyhood haunt. Gravel pits scarred into the earth like God's abandoned wounds. Where we'd skip rocks and dream of escaping Ohio. Or bury secrets, like the bike chain from Ethan's Schwinn, which I'd sunk there after the plea. I grabbed the knife from Thanksgiving, cleaned, sharp, and headed out. Moon hung low, bloated, casting shadows like fingers. Jake waited by the water's edge, silhouette against the black mirror. No coat despite the chill. "Jack," he said, turning, hands empty. "It's over." "Over?" I stepped closer, gravel crunching. "You yelled for the money like a debt collector at a wake.
Framed me again."
Poisoned her.
No.
He cut me off, voice cracking. "The pills." I upped the dose because she begged. "Make it stop."
Jacob.
For the boys. "Thought you knew. You were there. Liar." Or was he? Mom's eyes in the kitchen. Pleading. The vial in my hand, mercy or madness? He pulled a check from his pocket, $47,500, made out to the Harlow Family Trust.
Here.
And my resignation letter. To the bar. Full confession in the morning. I took it. The paper crisp. Real. Wind howled through the pits, stirring dust devils. Why now? Because you're right. I stole everything from you. From her. But Jack. The hit and run? It was you driving.
I saw.
The deer. The swerve. I lied to protect you. The golden boy. The world tilted.
Me?
No, impossible. Memory fractured, rain. Laughter turning to screams. Jake's hands on the wheel? Or mine? Twist of the knife. Literal now. He lunged, not attack. But embrace. Sobbing. Forgive me. End it. I raised the blade. Heart pounding. Mercy? Or the final betrayal? The quarry's edge bit into my boots like teeth. The drop-off to the water, a yawning maw that swallowed sound and secrets alike. Jake's confession hung between us, heavier than the check in my fist, unraveling the tapestry of lies we'd woven since boys. Me driving? The image clawed up from the subconscious, headlights cutting fog. My knuckles white on the wheel. Jake slurred, floor it, echoing as the thump came. Soft then final. Had I blacked it? Repressed it for Mom's sake? For his future? Or was this his last gambit? The cunning flip of a man cornered, turning the blade back on his accuser? "You're full of shit," I growled, but my voice wavered, the knife trembling in my grip. Moonlight glinted off the blade, turning it silver, accusatory. Jake stepped closer. No fear in his eyes, only that boyish plea I'd seen 1,000 times, from scraped knees to courtroom deals. "Check the dashcam yourself."
Jack.
Timestamp. Your hand on the gearshift. I took the blame in my head. Guilt's a hell of a editor. But facts don't lie.
Facts.
The word mocked me as I shoved him back, hard enough to send him stumbling toward the ledge. He caught himself, arms windmilling, gravel skittering into the abyss like fleeing rats. "Don't," he gasped, but there was no plea, just resignation.
Do it.
End the cycle. For Mom.
Mom.
Her face in the kitchen, blue lips forming my name. The pie, my pie, untouched on the sideboard, its poison a mirror to his pills. We'd both euthanized her. In our ways, him with opioids, me with petals from the garden. Mercy killing, or matricide dressed in filial piety. The courts would call it murder. Either way, and Ohio didn't take kindly to family feuds turning fatal. I lowered the knife, chest heaving, the check crumpling in my pocket like a bad bet.
Go. Confess.
Make it right for Ethan. He nodded, straightening, the lawyer mask cracking into something human. And you? The upload. Stopped it. A lie. I'd hit pause at the diner. But the server ticked on. 87% now. A digital guillotine. But if you rabbit, I won't. He clapped my shoulder. The gesture from 100 football practices. Then turned, vanishing into the treeline like a ghost dissolving. I stood there till dawn crept up, pink and judgmental. The quarry exhaling mist like bad breath. Drove home with the radio off. Mind replaying the thump, the skid, the silence after. Was it me? The golden boy. Stained from the start? Back at the farmhouse. Sophie waited on the porch, bundled in Mom's old quilt, her breath fogging the air. Uncle Jack, Daddy called. Said he's coming for Christmas. With presents. Her smile was sunshine on frost. Innocent. Unscarred. I hugged her tight, inhaling the scent of crayons and hope.
Yeah. Kiddo.
Presents all around. The next weeks were a tightrope, dodging calls from the coroner's office, preliminary, cardiac event. But toxicology pending. Fielding Aunt Karen's voicemails laced with scripture and suspicion. The Lord sees all. Jack, clean your heart. And watching the news for Jake's fall. It came slow, like molasses in January, a blurb on WLWT about local attorneys stepping down amid ethics probe, then a deeper dive in the Inquirer. Dredging the hit and run. Cold case cracks, new evidence in 2018 cyclist death. No names yet, Jake's firm stonewalling, but the photo was Ethan's. School portrait with that awkward grin. Braces catching light. Brittany texted. He's turning himself in tomorrow. DA's cutting a deal. Manslaughter. 5 years. The check cleared to Harlan's. Don't destroy us more.
Destroy.
As if I hadn't been rubble for years. I drove to the Harlows that afternoon, unannounced, the check's receipt burning in my glove box. Their place was a tidy rancher in Perrysburg, Christmas lights already strung, a swing set rusting in the yard like a forgotten toy. Mrs. Harlow answered, mid-50s, hollow-eyed, the kind of grief that carves canyons. Yes, Jack Cooper, I said, hat in hand. Ethan's. From the case. Her face shuddered, but she stepped aside. Inside. Photos everywhere. Him at prom. Him with a fishing rod. Him gone. Mr. Harlow sat in the recliner. Oxygen tank hissing like a serpent. COPD from the GM plant. What do you want? Son? Closure? We buried ours years ago. I handed the envelope, $47, $500, plus interest I'd scraped from odd jobs. From my brother.
And me.
For Ethan. They stared. Then she wept. Quiet. Into a tissue.
Why now?
After all this. Because it's owed. And because I might have been behind the wheel. The words tumbled out. Confession unbidden. The twist Jake planted taking root. Mr. Harlow wheezed, eyes narrowing. You? The one who did time? Maybe. Memory's a liar. But wrong's wrong. He nodded. Slow. The tank's rhythm steadying the room. Take the money back. Use it for your own. Ethan's ghosts don't need dollars, he needs truth.
Truth.
I left empty-handed, the envelope on their coffee table like an offering. Drove aimlessly, ending up at the quarry again. Water still as judgment. Skipped a rock, 3 bounces, a childhood score, and wondered if Jake's deal would hold, if the upload would drop before his plea. It didn't. At 11:59 p.m., as I watched the progress bar hit 100%, I smashed the laptop with a tire iron, shards glittering like fallen stars. Let the fragments sink into the mud. Mercy. Again. Christmas Eve. Jake arrived at the farmhouse. Cuffs off but ankle monitor blinking red under his slacks. Brittany trailed with the kids, arms laden with gifts. Sophie squealed. Tackling him, Tyler hung back, wary. Daddy's home. Temporarily, Jake said, ruffling her hair. We gathered in the living room. Tree strung with Mom's ornaments, tinsel frayed, lights flickering like memories. Turkey thawed in the fridge. A nod to normalcy. Or mockery. Over eggnog spiked heavy. He pulled me aside. DA bought it, my confession. Your corroboration. 5 years. Probation after. Firm's payout covers restitution. Corroboration? I hissed. You pinned it on me. He shrugged, eyes weary. Truth serum.
Bro.
Or close enough. We're both guilty, drunk.
Dumb.
Driving. Mom's pills? Mutual. I upped him, you baked the pie. Partners in the end.
Partners.
The word soured the nog. But Sophie dragged us to the tree, demanding carols, her voice piping Silent Night off-key. For her,
I sang.
For her, I swallowed the blade. That night, as snow fell soft outside, Jake and I sat on the porch, breaths clouding, sharing a smoke like old times. Why'd you stop the upload? He asked. Didn't want the kids to pay.
Lie.
Or half-truth. The full dump would have exposed Mom's role, her cover-ups, her enabling. The family fortress.
Crumbling.
He nodded, exhaling slow. Thanks. Oh, you. You owe Ethan. And Mom. Working on it. He stubbed the but.
Stood.
Deal's done. But if it unravels, it won't. I clasped his arm, brotherly. But inside, the plan simmered. Anonymous tip to the DA about the pills. Post-sentencing. Let karma's jury decide. New Year's brought the call. Toxicology negative. Natural causes, the coroner said. Relief washed. Tainted. We'd both killed her. But ghosts don't testify. Spring thawed the fields, and Jake reported to prison, medium security, golf courses for trustees. Letters came. Jim's brutal. Thinking of Dad. I wrote back. Shovel the shit. Builds character. Sophie visited with drawings. Us as superheroes. Capes billowing. Uncle Jack saves the day. If only. The twist nod. That dashcam? I'd watched it. frame by frame. After his quarry plea. His hand on the wheel. Not mine. Another lie. But calling it would have freed me. Damned him deeper. Controversial choice. Protect the monster. Or unleash the truth and orphan the kids. I chose gray. Like Ohio skies. Summer scorched, and the Harlows sued the estate. Wrongful death angle. Scraping for more. Aunt Karen picked sides, disowning Jake via Facebook post. Blood don't make family. Uncle Ray drank harder, muttering about Cooper curse.
Me?
I started the garage, Ethan's auto. Named Quiet. No fanfare. Fixed beaters for single moms. Cut rates for vets. The $47,500? Donated anonymous to the Bike Safety Fund. Helmets for every kid in the county. Fall leaves turned. Another Thanksgiving loomed. Brittany invited me to Cincy. Kids clamoring. Family dinner. Jake Skypes from inside. I declined. Too soon. Instead, I carved a turkey alone. Gravy thick. Knife steady. Toasted the empty chair to secrets buried deep. But secrets rise. Like oleander roots. Choking the garden. The garage smelled of oil and redemption. Or so I told myself on those long nights when the fluorescent buzzed like angry hornets and the shop radio crooned Merle Haggard ballads about mamas and hard luck. Ethan's auto was no empire, just a squat cinder block on the edge of town. 2 bays and a parts room stacked with manifolds and regrets. I'd sunk the last of Mom's insurance payout into it. $20,000 after taxes. Tools gleaming new under the pegboards like promises I couldn't quite trust. Customers trickled in, farmers with tractors coughing black smoke. Soccer moms with minivans wheezing from endless carpools. The occasional Harley rider gunning for escape velocity. It kept the wolves from the door, mine. Anyway. Jake's absence carved a void. His letters tapering to postcards, Chow's not bad, Spaghetti Tuesdays or law libraries got true crime, avoid mirrors. Brittany managed the house. Her texts a lifeline of mundane. Tyler's A in math, your influence? I replied with emojis. Thumbs up and hearts. Faking the glue that held our fractured clan. Aunt Karen's boycott held firm. Her church ladies spreading gospel. Jack's the devil's handyman now. Fixing what he broke. Uncle Ray wandered in one rainy Tuesday. His old Chevy belching antifreeze. Eyes bloodshot. Heard about the boy. Ethan. You do right by him? I nodded. Topped off his radiator. Comped the flush. He clapped my back. Breath, whiskey sour. Good. Jake's a fool. Always was.
Fool.
The word echoed as I worked late, welding a fender under the arc's blue hiss. Sparks dancing like fireflies in hell. Fool for believing his quarry confession. For smashing that drive without a backup. I'd lied to myself about the dashcam, watched it once. His hand blurred. Inconclusive in the rain. Doubt festered. Was it mercy or madness keeping silent? The DA still held. Jake's 5 years ticking down. But whispers grew, reporters circling Brittany. Fishing for the other side. Then came the letter. Postmarked Columbus. No return. Plain envelope. Typed. Cooper, your brother's canary singing. Pills weren't just a script.
Check the pharmacy logs.
A friend. Heart slammed. I tore it open. Newsprint clipping fluttering out. An article on opioid overprescription. A sidebar stat on suspicious scripts from Cincy docs. Jake's name wasn't there, but the dates matched Mom's visits. Pharmacy logs. I drove to the chain store in town that night. Fluorescent hell of candy aisles and cough syrup. Charming the clerk with a sob story about Mom's records for the estate. She printed a stack. Timestamps glaring. Jake's signature. Electronic. On refills dosed high enough to drop a horse. But one entry mine. A proxy pickup. 2 months before Thanksgiving. When he'd forgotten during a storm. For emergencies, he'd texted. Emergency. Like ending her suffering? Sleep evaded. The farmhouse creaking like bones under strain. Dawn broke. And I called Brittany. The logs. You knew. Her pause stretched. Then sigh. Jack. It's complicated. She was in agony.
Jake.
We talked options. You weren't around. Not around? I lived there. Rage boiled. But under it, the split. We'd all dosed her. A family pact unspoken. Me with the pie. Them with pills. A chorus of killers harmonizing death. Visit him, she urged. Before it blows. The prison was a concrete scar north of Lima. Razor wire glinting like malice under a flat sky. Processing took hours, pat-downs, metal detectors beeping accusations. Jake waited in the visitation room. Orange jumpsuit hanging loose. Face gaunt but eyes sharp.
Bro.
You look like shit. Feel like it. We sat across Formica scarred with hearts and hate. Phones heavy in our hands. The letter. The scripts. He leaned in, voice low. Anonymous tipster? Probably the DA's fishing expedition. I confess to the hidden run. Deals ironclad.
But Mom.
That stays buried. Buried? Like Ethan? I gripped the receiver. Knuckles white. You flipped it on me at the quarry. Whose will was it? Jake? Truth this time. His gaze flickered. The lawyer weighing risks. Yours. But I braked late, too late. We both killed him. As for Mom, it was kindness. Hospice said weeks of pain. You get that, right?
The pie. The pie.
My gut twisted. I baked it for comfort. The extract. Accidental overdose. Liar. He smiled.
Sad.
I saw the vial in the trash. Garden gloves on the counter. We mirrored each other.
Jack.
Brothers to the end.
End.
The word hung. And I saw it, the twist we'd both engineered. Blaming the other to absolve ourselves. Controversial calculus. No heroes. Just survivors scraping for moral high ground. I stopped the upload for Sophie. I admitted. But if the logs leak, they won't. Brittany's handling the firm payout. Clean slate.
Clean.
As if blood washed off with Windex. We talk shop, then garage woes. His prison poker games, normalcy's thin veil. As the buzzer sounded, he pressed the glass. Come back. For the kids. I nodded. But driving south, the letter burned in my pocket. Friend or foe planting seeds. Fall deepened. Leaves carpeting the quarry road like warnings. Sophie begged for a sleepover. Tyler tagging along with his Lego empire. We built forts in the living room. Popcorn strung like ammunition. Ghost stories by flashlight. Uncle Jack. Did you and Daddy fight bad guys? Tyler asked. Eyes wide. Worse, I said. Monsters. But families stronger. Stronger. Lie or lore. Morning came. Them giggling over pancakes. And I dropped him at Brittany's. Her hug lingering. He's changing.
Therapy.
Says you're the anchor. Anchor. Drowning weight. More like. Back at the garage. A new customer rolled in. Black SUV. Tinted. Plates from DC. Man in shades. Suit crisp as a subpoena. Jack Cooper? FBI. Mind a chat. My wrench slipped. Oil splattering. About. The Harlow suit. And your brothers. Accommodations. He flashed a badge. Gold Eagle Stern. Someone's talking. Pharmacy discrepancies. Mom's talk screen?
Clean.
But anomalies. Anomalies. The room spun. Coincidence. Family drama. He smiled.
Thin.
Families destroy best. But obstruction? That's federal. I locked up early. Heart hammering. Drove to the river, Ohio's muddy vein. Bridges arching like nooses. Stood on the bank. Letter in hand. Lit it with a Zippo. Ashes swirled. But the words lingered, singing canary. That night. Anonymous email to the Inquirer. Check Cooper scripts. Justice for Evelyn. Hit send. Watched it vanish into the ether. Twist back, not on Jake, but the system that let us skate. Retribution rippled. Headlines blared. Attorney's family in drug probe. Brittany's photo splashed. Kids' school fielding calls. She rang. Hysterical. You bastard. The email trace, your IP. Prove it, I said.
Calm.
But inside, the split deepened. Right or ruin. Jake's cell got colder. His letters furious. Why? We had peace.
Peace. For who? Ethan?
Mom? Winter clamped down. Snow burying sins. The feds visited again. But logs vanished. Brittany's doing. Or Jake's last favor. Suit dropped. Probe stalled. I worked the garage. Hands black with grease. Soul grayer. Spring brought parole hearing. Jake walked. Monitor off. Into Brittany's arms on live news. Reformed, the anchor cooed. He called. Thanks for the nudge.
Clean now.
Nudge. My poison pen. Don't thank me. Oh, Ethan's ghost. He laughed.
Hollow.
Ghosts don't collect. They do. In dreams, thumps and rattles. Another Thanksgiving neared. Invite extended. I accepted. Knife in the drawer. Checkbook balanced. Family flawed. Fractured. Forever. But the canary sang on. In whispers. Grease monkeys don't get holidays off, not when transmissions whine like banshees and alternators fail in the dead of night. But Thanksgiving 2026 loomed different. A tentative truce under the farmhouse eaves, snow dusting the roof like powdered regret. Jake's parole had stuck. 6 months in, him crashing on Brittany's couch while hunting consulting gigs, code for odd jobs that didn't scream, ex-con. The kids demanded unity. Sophie scripting a play, the amazing Cooper comeback, with me as the wise wizard. Him the redeemed rogue. No more bad guys, she'd decree. Wand a carrot stick. I arrived early. Truck bed loaded with pies, not poisoned. Apple and pecan. Crusts flaky from Mom's recipe. The house hummed. Karen thawed. Her jello wobbling in apology. Ray snoring through pregame. Remote glued to palm. Brittany orchestrated chaos. Her extensions back. Smile brittle. He's nervous, she murmured. Stirring gravy. About the table talk. Table talk. The elephant. Or rather, the $47,500 turkey no one dared carve. Jake emerged from the den. slacks pressed, tie loose like a noose half-tied. Jack. Hug awkward. Backslaps tentative. Smells like home. Home. The word stung. Farmhouse walls whispering accusations. We settled. Grace said, me this time. Words about forgiveness tasting like ash. Forks scraped. Small talk flowed. Sophie's ballet recital. Tyler's science fair volcano, baking soda triumph. Then Jake cleared his throat. Echo of last year. Before pie, he said, voice steadier. I owe amends. Folder slid across, not manila menace, but leather-bound journal. Pages filled in his scrawl.
My.
Therapy homework. Reading it might help. Help. I flipped it open later. In the guest room. Bourbon warming my veins. Entries raw. Day 47. Dreamed of the thump. Jack's face in the mirror. Mine? Guilt's a blender. On mom. Eased her out. Hero or horror? Asked the judge in my head. The hit and run. I grabbed the will 8. Or, did he? Brothers blur. Controversial confessions. No absolution. Just the mess we'd made. Downstairs. Laughter erupted. Ray's joke about lawyers and hell. I joined. Pie slice in hand. The crust crumbling like defenses. Jake caught my eye. Nod subtle. Truce. Night deepened.
Kids abed.
Adults nursing drinks by the fire. Karen cornered me. He's changed.
Jack.
Prayed with him last week. Prodigal son. Prodigal. The parable twisted in my gut. Feast for the wastrel. Resentment for the faithful. Time will tell, I said, poking embers. It told fast. December brought a knock. Harlow's. Uninvited. Coats dusted with lake-effect snow. Mrs. Harlow clutched a file. Mr. On cane. Oxygen portable now. The donation, she said. Voice steel. Generous. But we sued the estate anyway. Wrongful. Your brother's negligence. Negligence. The word landed like indictment. Jake hovered in the hall.
Pale.
We settled private. The check. Not enough, Mr. Harlow wheezed. Ethan's college fund gone.
Pain?
Priceless. They left terms. $100,000. Or trial. Dredging everything, scripts. The quarry meet. My anonymous tip. Brittany wept in the kitchen. Sophie overheard. Tantrum brewing. Daddy's bad again? Jake paced. Old fire flickering. Fuck M. DA, deal close that door. Close? I snapped. You sped.
Drunk.
I took the rap. And I confessed. He whirled. Faces inches. 5 years for your swerve. My swerve. The blur again. I grab his collar. Shoved against the wall. Plaster cracking. Liar. Dashcam. Destroyed it. For us.
His eyes. Wild.
Admit it.
Jack.
You floored it. Panicked. The room spun. Family frozen. Karen crossing herself. Ray rising slow. I released him. Chest heaving. We're done.
Done. But blood binds.
Christmas. I sent gifts, tools for the garage. Books for his consulting. Neutral. Distant. New Year. The suit escalated. Deposition scheduled. My name subpoenaed. As witness, the lawyer said. Voice oily. Or co-defendant. Company. The split widened. Testify truth. Damn Jake. Lie.
Perjure for family.
Controversial calculus. Readers of my life story picking sides. Loyal brother or enabler. I chose evasion. Lawyered up cheap. Public defender with coffee breath. Met Jake at a neutral Starbucks. Cincy sprawl buzzing outside. What now? He asked. Latte untouched. Truth serum time. I slid a USB, rear-covered dashcam. Pulled from backup side forgotten. A footage crisp, his hands yanking. My foot on gas. Mutual doom. We both did it. He watched. Face crumbling. Burn it.
No.
Harlow's get the full picture. Settlement. Insurance max. $75,000. You announce it. Public mea culpa. Career suicide. But his nod came. Resigned. Press conference followed. Jake at podium. Lights harsh. Voice steady. My fault. Shared. But mine. Restitution paid. Cameras flashed. Headlines softened. Ex-attorney's redemption arc. Redemption. For him. Maybe.
Me?
The garage boomed. Sympathy jobs pouring in. Heard your story.
Man.
Discount for heroes. Sophie beamed. Daddy's on TV. Hero. Heroes. Plural. Spring rains washed the quarry clean, and I swam at once, water cold, current pulling like judgment. Emerged gasping.
Alive.
Summer scorched scandals. The opioid probe reignited. Jake named in a sidebar. But Brittany's connections quashed it. Witness tampering whispers. But no charges. We're ghosts now, he joked over beers. First in years. Haunting each other. Haunting. Fall leaves fell. Another Thanksgiving. Invite. Full table. No folders. I came. Knife sheathed. Grace by Sophie. Innocent. Talk flowed, plans, not pasts. But as pie cut, Jake's phone buzzed, unknown. He glanced.
Paled. Harlos.
Accepting the deal.
But.
They want you too. For the cover-up.
Cover-up.
Moms, please. My silence. The twist. Ethan's dad. Dying now. Final wish. My confession on record. Give it, I said. Fork pausing. For him. Jake's eyes searched mine. You'll go down. Worth it. Controversial close. Truth over tribe. Winter whispered end. Mr. Harlow passed peaceful. Obituary noting justice served. His wife's call. Thank you.
Jack.
For owning it. Owning. I did. Plea bargain. Probation. Community service. Bike safety classes. Jake walked free.
Guilt his chain.
Spring 2028. Garage expanded. Bay 3 for Harleys. Sophie apprenticed. Wrench in tiny hand. We fix everything. Right, uncle? Most things. Jake visited. Slacks traded for jeans. Consulting, a distant memory. Proud of you, he said.
Proud.
Echo of mom. The cycle bent. Not broken. But ghosts linger. In pies unbaked. Wheels unturned. Expansion brought exhaust fumes and elbow grease. The garage's third bay a concrete cathedral to second chances. Filled with chrome dreams and the growl of test drives. By summer 28, Ethan's auto wasn't just surviving, it thrived. A beacon for blue-collar hope in a town chewing its own tail. I'd hired on Manny, ex-con with tattooed knuckles, and a knack for wiring, Lena. Single mom sharp with diagnostics. Her kids' braces paid by tips. We blasted Springsteen on the shop stereo. Born to Run, an anthem for escapees like us. Grease smeared and grinning through the grind. Jake kept distance. His Reformation tour, a string of motivational gigs, Rotary clubs, VFW halls spinning yarn about falling, rising, forgiving. Brittany beamed in promo pics. Extensions glossy. But her calls carried cracks. Tyler's acting out. Sees you as the villain now. Villain. After my plea, probation meant check-ins. Urine tests clean as my conscience tried to be. But kids parse black and white, grays for adults who bleed it. Sophie bridged the gap. Weekends wrenching with me, her pigtails oil-streaked. Daddy says you're a saint. But saints don't fight monsters. Her wisdom, 8 going on 80.
Pierced.
Monsters are real.
Soft.
But we fight smart.
Smart.
Like the anonymous donation to the Ethan Harlow Memorial Ride, annual bikeathon. Helmets free. Route skirting the old crash site. I rode lead. Wind whipping. Crowd cheering. For Ethan, Jake joined once. Incognito in shades. His pedal stroke labored. Closure. I asked post-ride. Gatorades sweating in our grips. Or masochism. He wiped brow. Salt stung. Harlow's settled happy. Mrs.
Ash.
Even sent a card.
Card.
Progress. Fall brought harvest fairs. Corn mazes twisting like memories. Aunt Karen hosted a reconciliation barbecue, her perm softer. Grill smoke veiling old barbs. Ray manned the cooler. Beers flowing forgiveness. Jake and I flipped burgers side by side. Sizzle punctuating silence. Miss the law? I asked. Spatula flipping. Miss the power. Not the poison. He caught a patty midair. Grin boyish. You? Garage kingpin. King of clunkers. Laughter came easy. But undercurrent pulled. The probe's ghost. Feds file dusty, but open. Thanksgiving 28 tested the thaw. Full house. Karen's jello evolved to salad. Ray's stories slurred but warm. Kids' table boomed with giggles, adults with wine-fueled what-ifs. Jake raised glass. To Cooper's bent. Not broken. Cheers echoed. But mine stuck.
Bent.
Like the dashcam truth we'd half buried. Or the script shadow. Pie came, Lena's contribution. Safe as store-bought. And as Fork's dove. Brittany's phone lit. FBI callback. Old leads. The room hushed. Forks hovering like last year's knives. Jake's jaw set. Ignore. Deal's dead.
Dead.
Mrs. Harlow's voice. From a hall she'd come. Olive branch in poinsettia. My husband's grave says different. New evidence. Your brother's garage cam. Time-stamped quarry night.
Quarry.
My blood iced. I'd installed security routine for theft, but forgotten the meat. Footage. Us arguing. Knife glinting. His stumble to the edge. Manslaughter bait. You hacked it, Jake accused. Rising. Subpoena. Her eyes. Steel. For Ethan's justice. Your push attempted.
No.
I stood.
Come.
Talk. Truth. He confessed first. I spared. Spared. Karen gasped. Ray choked on turkey. Jake whirled on me. You kept the cam? After everything? Insurance.
Lie.
backup for my own doubts. Chaos erupted. Accusations flying. Kids crying. Sophie screaming, "Stop." Harlow stormed out, promising warrants. Brittany herded children upstairs. Karen prayed aloud. Rosary clicking. Alone in the kitchen, Jake and I faced off. Sink dripping judgment. "Why keep it?" he demanded. Doubt. "Your flips, Corey lie. Script blame." Needed proof we were even. Even? He laughed.
Bitter.
"I did 5 years. You? Probation party. Party?" Rage flared. "I built this garage life while you lawyered lies." He deflated, shoulders slumping.
Touché.
"But the cam destroys us both."
Us.
"The bond. Toxic tether." "Delete it. Tell Harlow's it was bluff." "Perjury again?" His eyes searched, pleading. "Jack, let it go. For the kids."
Kids.
Always the split. I nodded, but inside, the plan coiled. Leak the full tape to the feds, his pushback visible. My restraint heroic. Controversial counter. Frame the framer? Night ended fractured. Guests fleeing like rats. Sophie curled in my lap. Tears hot. "Family's broken." "Not yet," I whispered. But dawn brought cuffs, not mine.
Jake's.
Harlow's pressed charges. Attempted murder. Based on witness statement, his stumble. My knife. Bail hearing, me testifying. Voice steady. Self-defense. He lunged first. Guilt overload. Jury of locals. Faces familiar from church and gas pumps. Weighed it. Brother versus brother. Truth a casualty. Acquitted. Jake walked. But parole revoked, back inside. 2 more years. His call from lockup. You sold me. Saved you. From yourself. Truth? Half. The tape. Edited. Exonerated me. Damned him as aggressor. Brittany divorced.
Quiet.
Custody shared.
For the kids, she said.
Sophie chose weekends with me. Wrench over wizard. Winter 29 buried hope. Garage slowed. Boycott whispers. Jack the Judas. But Lena stayed. Manny too. Family's what you weld, he grunted. Torquing a bolt. Spring unearthed the twist. Anonymous package, USB. Labeled full truth. Dashcam unedited. Jake stumbling. But pulling back. My knife lowered first. Mercy genuine.
Zenda?
Brittany. Note. Enough lies. Heal. I watched.
Wept.
Mailed copy to DA. Dismissal followed. Jake freed early for exculpatory evidence. Summer reunion. Quarry picnic. Kids splashing. Harlow's invited. Mrs.
Ash.
Hugged me. Ethan to prove. Approved. Jake arrived last. Leaner. Wiser. Truce. Truce. Beers clinked. Water lapping absolution. But fall winds carried warning. New letter. Same postmark. Canary sings louder. Scripts to feds, yours too. The cycle spun on. Brothers, bound by blades unseen. The quarry picnic lingered like a good hangover, sweet ache of almost healed wounds. Laughter echoing off water that now reflected hope instead of horror. Jake and I parted with a clasp. His grip firm. No knives between fingers. Garage needs a partner, I said.
Halfiest.
He grinned. First real one in years. Consultant? Hell.
Yeah.
Parole approved. Parole. The chain rattled softer now. His early release a DA's gift wrapped in bureaucracy. Brittany co-parented distant. Her new place in Columbus a fresh start. Extensions swapped for bob cut and therapy pamphlets. Kids thrive, she emailed. Tyler's into coding, your logic genes. Sophie FaceTimed weekly. Her room a shrine to tools. Mini vise on desk. Poster of carburetors like rock stars. Garage hummed into fall 29. Bays full. Waiting list for custom jobs. Harleys chromed for rallies. Trucks lifted for farm kings. Manny courted Lena. Sparks flying over spark plugs. I played uncle. Mediating with coffee runs. Revenue ticked up. Enough for a down payment on the adjacent lot. Expansion dreams. Ethan's legacy etched in every weld. But letters don't cease. They evolve. The new one arrived crisp October. Wind stripping leaves like veils. Cooper, scripts weren't isolated. Mom's doc. Bribed for extras. Your pickup? On tape. Fed circling. Watcher.
Bribed.
The doc old DR. Ellis. Golf buddy of Jake's firm. Pushing Fent for pain management, kickbacks and greens fees. My proxy? Innocent fetch. But optics screamed complicity. I burned it. Ashes to the wind. But sleep fractured. Dreams of mom's rattle. Jake's stumble. Ethan's thump merging into cacophony. Woke to news alert. Opie's legacy. Cincy doc indicted. Clients named. No Coopers yet. But the noose tightened. Jake called. Voice tight. Heard about Ellis. Our names, not yet.
Pause heavy.
But mine's on the pickup log. Silence.
Then, shit.
The proxy, I asked you to. For her. For her. Echo. We'd looped the noose together. Mercy our noose. What now? Fight. Lawyer up my treat. His laugh. Hollow. Irony. Irony. We met in neutral Columbus. Coffee shop hip with pour-overs and plants. He looked settled, jeans pressed. Consultant badge on laptop bag. Firm blackballed me. But podcasts want my story. From courtroom to cell block.
P.
The $47,500 ghost. Resurrected in royalties. Use it for the kids' college. Already earmarked. His eyes. Earnest. Jack. We're square.
Square.
Geometry of guilt. Till the next angle. Winter bit hard. Snowplows growling like guardians. Thanksgiving 29. Scaled back. Just us brothers.
Kids.
Brittany neutral. No Harlows, her invite declined polite. Healing private. Table small. Turkey modest. But talk flowed. Sophie's school play. Her as mechanic queen. Tyler's app prototype. Traffic jam solver. Fitting. Jake carved. Knife steady. No splatters. Grace by me. For bends that don't break us. Amen murmured. Fork stove. Post pie. Fire crackling. Jake pulled the journal. Updated.
Dog-eared.
Read the last entry.
For you.
I did. Later. To Jack. You were the wheelman. But I was the gas. Mom's end? Our duet. Forgive? Working on it.
Love.
The fuck up.
Love.
The word landed soft. Thawing permafrost. New Year 30 dawned clear.
Resolution suispered, mine.
Expand the memorial ride, his. Write the book. Spring greened. Garage bloomed, bike shop annex. Helmets branded Ethan's Edge. Launch event. Ribbon cut by Mrs. Harlow. Her smile tentative. Proud, she said, hand on mine. He'd race you. Race. I did. Leading pack. Wind therapy. Jake pedaled rear. Cheering horse. Summer scandal struck. Inquirer exclusive. Ex-lawyer's family and Doc Bribring. Names dropped. Ellis. Jake's alias scripts. My proxy flagged suspicious. Feds raided the farmhouse. Warrants waving like flags. Tossing drawers for vials long composted. No charges stuck. Logs inconclusive. My lawyer, Jake's old mentor. Ironic. Arguing familial aid. But headlines hounded. Cooper clan. Painkillers to pay back? Protests at the garage. Picketers with signs justice for victims. Opioids orphans chanting. Manny manned the door. Lena fielded calls. Screw 'em, he growled. We fix rides. Not rights.
Rights.
Sophie skipped school. Taunt stinging. Your uncle killed grandma. I picked her up. Ice cream salve. Stories twist.
Kid.
Truths in actions. Actions. I acted. Press conference. Unscripted. Guilt shared. Mercy misguided. But healing's the verdict. Cameras rolled. Public split. Cooper redemption trended. Countered by Evelyn exposed. Jake's book deal tanked. Podcasts ghosted. He crashed at the farmhouse. Couch his throne. Karma's a bitch, he quipped. But eyes haunted. Fall harvest. Quarry swim. Us. Beers afloat. End it, he asked. Treading water. End what? The Watcher. Letters. It's you. Right? Pushing me clean?
Me?
The twist inverted.
No.
Thought it was you, goading me. Laughter bubbled. Waves lapping. Mirror maze.
Maze.
Thanksgiving 30. Harlow's came. Full circle. Table groaned. Talk tentative. Ethan's ride success. Mom's garden revived. Oleander yanked. Jake's toast. To watchers seen and unseen. Unseen. Pie safe. Laughter real. But December delivered. Arrest warrant. Not ours, the watchers. Brittany's ex-associate. Grudge from the divorce. Forging letters to stir pot. Stirred too hard, DA said. Charges dropped all. Relief flooded. Tainted. We danced on knives.
Blind.
Spring 31. Garage thrived. National Mag feature. From Wreck to Redemption. Jake co-authored. Ghost clean. Sophie apprentice full. Tyler coded the shop app. Summer races.
Fall feasts.
Winter warms. Brothers. Bent straighter. Yet the final twist whispered. In Jake's book epilogue. A footnote. To the real golden boy. Sorry for the wheel. My hand. Or his. Debate eternal. Family's fog. The mag feature hit like a torque wrench to the temple. Glossy pages in Mechanic Monthly. My grease monkey mug staring back under headlines. Rust to riches. The Cooper Garage revival. Jake's byline shared. His words weaving our wreckage into fable. Betrayal's bay. Where brothers weld scars into strength. Orders spiked. Pilgrims from coasts. Seeking autographs and absolution. Sophie preened. We're famous. Tyler rolled eyes. But pocketed the check from his app upgrade. Life normalized. Or its facsimile. Mornings with coffee black as doubts. Bays echoing clangs of progress. Manny proposed to Lena under the lift. Ring oil slicked. Wedding at the quarry. Toasts over bonfire. Aunt Karen danced. Perm bobbing, Ray gifted a 72 Chevy. For the fleet, Harlow's attended. Mrs.
Ash.
Toasting to rides unbroken. Jake settled nearby, modest rancher. Consulting remote for nonprofits. Pro bono pleas for the framed. Brittany dated cautious. Kids splitting time seamless. Co-parenting gold. She joked over brunches. Mimosas fizzing like closure. But normalcy's fragile as a timing belt. Spring 31 unearthed the last letter. Slipped under wiper at the ride's end. Cooper's wheels turn. Mom's will. Forged. Your cut. Zilch. Estate to charity. Jake's slush fund.
Dig.
Final watcher. Forged. Heart seized. Mom's will. Red post-funeral. Equal split. Farmhouse mine. Cash divvied. But charity? Jake's firm foundation. A tax dodge we'd laughed off. Drove home fogged. Range sheeting like tears unshed. Confronted him at dusk. Journal in hand, his epilogue mocking. The will. Truth. He paled. Porch light casting Judas shadows. Half.
I.
Adjusted. For your garage seed money. $20,000 anonymous. Liar. I shoved the letter. Slush fund. Petty cash for the probe, lawyers. Bribes to bury scripts. His voice cracked. Saved us.
Saved.
The eternal flip.
Ethan?
Mom?
Us. All.
Plea in eyes. Forgive. Like the book.
Book.
Fiction's veil. I turned. Truck roaring away. Quarry calling. Midnight edge. Water black mirror. Knife from the drawer, sentimental now. Relic. Stood. Blade catching stars. Jump? No, throw. Into depths. Splash final. Dawn broke. Decision crystallized. Expose. But not feds, press. Anonymous. Leaked docs. Will addendum. Jake's signature overlay mine. Headlines erupted. Redemption reversed. Brothers betrayal bombshell. Fallout fractured. Jake's gigs cancelled. Book pulped. Brittany's fury. Custody yanked temporary. Sophie wailed. Why? Uncle. Why? I echoed. Holding her. Controversial crest. Truth's cost. Family's fracture. He came clean. Public mea culpa 2.0. Greed's ghost. Repaid triple. Funds flowed to Harlow's. Opioid victims. Ethan's ride endowment. DA probed. But statute soured. Probation for fraud. Community hours at the garage. Winter 31 Thanksgiving. Table sparse. Kids wary. Harlow's absent. Jake carved tentative. Knife sheathed in story. Grace by Tyler. For turns that teach. Pie my bake. Clean slice shared. Talk turn twist. Was it worth it? Jake asked. Fire low. Worth debating. Laughter tentative. Healing's hint. Spring 32. Garage anchored empire. Franchise talks. Ethan's national. Jake apprenticed. Wrench humble. Sophie led the ride. Crown of petals, no oleander. Tyler coded ethics app. Truth tracker. Summer solstice. Quarry vow. Brothers. Beers. No blades. And he asked. Cycle's choice. We swam. Current's kind. Fall harvest. Full feast. Karen's jello jewel. Ray's yarns. Brittany's bob bright. Harlow's hugging. Toast by me. To watchers within, may they whisper wise.
Wise.
The final twist, no watcher external. Letters? Jake's hand. Self-flagellation therapy. Pushing us to precipice for purge. You. I confronted post-pie. Porch quiet. Guilt's pen. He shrugged. Better out than in. Debate raged internal. Genius or gall. Heroic or hubris. Ending ambiguous. Happy in harmony. Tragic in trust tatters. Family, forged in fire. Flexible as steel. We choose the bend. And run.